Hey guys, welcome back to How to Escape. This is Rob Rini here, and today we're going to be going over a DIY tutorial on changing the 4 spark plugs in a 1.6 liter 2013 through 2016 Ford Escape. Now, the actual steps that you need to take to do the change are pretty simple. The complex thing is getting in there in the first place to have best access to it, and then making sure you have the proper socket to get into the spark plug well to retrieve your spark plug. We're going to be referencing our easy battery access video to remove the whole cowl where the wipers are, so to have better straight down access to the spark plugs. So we're going to be linking to that. We're also going to include the tools needed to do that in the spark plug tutorial. The next thing that I'm going to stress is to find the thinnest sidewall 16mm deep socket that you can in order to extract and install your spark plugs. I say this because I was using a standard Husky brand deep well 16mm socket from Home Depot, and the socket was binding up inside the actual spark plug well, and I had thought that it was the threads of the spark plug themselves cross-threading and getting stuck. So I started panicking, and it just got into this whole big thing, and it ended up just being the socket being a little bit too wide and binding in that well. So find the thinnest sidewall, most narrow diameter 16mm socket that you can. You should be golden. Let's start off by looking at the rest of the tools needed for this procedure. Again, referencing removing the cowl to have best access going down to the spark plugs, as well as changing the spark plugs themselves. Let's go. Alright, overall here's the tools that you're going to need to do the spark plugs. I ended up using a ratchet, 2 extensions, a 16mm pivoting socket, as thin-walled as I could find for getting into the spark plug wells, an 8mm socket, a 15mm socket, flathead screwdriver, dielectric grease, 4 cotton swabs, 4 Motorcraft spark plugs, some anti-seize grease for the threads of the spark plug, a grabber tool, and then an optional air gun. Okay, so we have the cowl off. We're going to be lifting up the cover, and the spark plug is going to be right on the back rail here. Now, to pop your cover off, there are 4 clasps that hold it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put the cover aside. So your spark plugs are going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here we are at the first spark plug, and to undo the wire coupling, you pop out this little gray tab and then push down like a regular connector. You'll hear a snap release, and you slide it out. Alright, so now that we have all these wires disconnected and out of the way, we're going to be working on our 8mm screws here. So I'm going to take the wrench, our extension, and 8mm. We're going to get these guys off. Okay, take these out, put them in a safe place. Now we're going to remove the coil. And it's kind of flexible. It's a rubber boot that goes down on top of the spark plug head. Shake it and it'll come up. That is the face that goes over top of the spark plug. We'll put this to the side. Now that we have the coil out of the way, we're going to take our compressed air. We're going to blow out anything that needs to be in there. Then we're going to use our 2 extensions with our pivoting 16mm deep socket. And if you notice, these coil packs are going in at an angle. They're not straight down, they're coming from the side, they're going angled in. So it's very important to look down and see the path of the spark plug from the very top. So you got to do your best. You got to be a little patient until you make sure that your socket is actually right on top of the spark plug. And it is. Alright. Take it out. Alright. The spark plug is free, so now we're going to get our grabber tool that has these little jaws. And we're going to send it down and extract our spark plug. As you can see, this is over 100,000 miles. The threads are pretty cooked. The gap isn't terrible, but this plug needs to be replaced because it's been in here for a very long time. let's get the new ones. So now we have one new Motorcraft spark plug that we're going to put in there, and the new spark plugs will come with these boots to protect the threads. First thing we're going to do is take our anti-seize grease, and we're going to just put it right on the leading edge of the thread, so as you screw it in, it's going to collect and travel all up the threads. Just enough so that you have grease all the way around the threads. Just wipe your hands off on a rag. Before we install the new plug, take your compressed air, have your grabber tool with your new plug, go in at it from an angle, get it started, and pull out. The plug's in there. Now we come back with our socket wrench. We're just going to go hand tight. The back of the box calls for 10 to 20 Newton meters, or 7.5 to about 14.5 foot-pounds if you're using a torque wrench. Right now I'm just going hand tight by kind of pulling it snug and then a little bit past that. Don't over crank it. If you have a torque wrench, the ratings are on the actual box of the spark plug. Alright, so just go a little bit more and then take it out. So here we take our dielectric grease, we're going to put it on the cotton swab, and then just line the very inside of this ring here so that the rubber of the boot does not fuse to the spark plug. So I'm going to take this. Alright, we're going to just gently and easily, lightly coat the inside face here. So all we want to do is coat the inside of the rubber face. We don't actually want to get any gobs inside here that the top of the spark plug could touch and hinder contact with your coil. Once we have that coated, put it back in, and you're going to push down until you feel it kind of pop up on top of the spark plug. Then we're going to go back to our 8mm socket to reinstall the side screws. So we're going to go hand tight again, just a little bit more. Okay. So you've just finished your first spark plug, aside from just plugging this guy back in and locking it in there. Repeat for the next 3. Again, only do one at a time so that no debris falls into the other cylinders when you're not watching. For the very last coil, you can get to it. You just have to push the air manifold away to get the very last coil pack out. Just a little bit of finagling to get it out. Then once you're done with that, pop your cover back on and reverse the process for the cowl with the windshield wipers. If you thought this video was helpful, please comment, please like it, please share, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot for watching How to Escape. We'll see you next time.